Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this video, we begin with a post from the subreddit Off My Chest with an update, and then we're gonna go crazy and just go to 2 petty revenge back to back. As always, if you wanna move around through the video, just use the timestamps right below it. So now, let's get started with that first post. This post is from the subreddit Off My Chest, and it's by user Arctic Flamingo. I'm about to sue my late wife's family and it makes me sick. My wife died suddenly in an accident that critically injured our son. Suffice it to say, along with being shattered, the whole matter has me rather preoccupied. Her family arrived rather quickly and took charge of a lot of things, especially the funeral. It was helpful because my focus needed to be on my son. I was pretty much a guest at my own wife's funeral because although I was there for a brief while, it was on a day when my son was scheduled for a rather serious procedure, and so my time was divided. All the while I could hear Suzanne, my wife, in my mind telling me to take care of Zach and not worry about the formalities. So I basically just gave my in-laws my checkbook, and I'm not complaining about that. What happened next is different. They wanted to take some of her things, and of course I understood the value in their having a keepsake of their sister and daughter. I would never have said no. But they took everything. Keep in mind, I wasn't there. My younger son wasn't in the house at the time either. The next time I was home, I realized that they basically cleaned the house out of everything they thought was hers, including photo books. Hours before this, my wife's older sister even went so as far as to say she wanted to take PJ, my younger son, saying I needed time and that he would be better with them. I shot that down before she ever finished the idea, though I tried not to let my anger show. In the immediate, my feeling was, I'm not going to deal with this right now. I simply didn't have the time or bandwidth to deal with it then. Not long after, my wife's sister called asking about several pieces of jewelry, claiming them as heirlooms to the family. That prompted me to recall a safe deposit box that my wife kept. I never thought we needed it. When I went to close it out, I found the jewelry. They're not getting the jewelry. But also among the papers, I found that she had a will. It wasn't formal, but it was detailed, and I later learned that it was enforceable. Key to note, my brother-in-law, after learning that his wife took such things as our photo books, demanded that she returned them. She refused. My lawyer has been communicating with me constantly since the accident. There are so many details, and I had already given him the will. When I told him that my sister-in-law refused to return the property, which rightfully belongs to our children, he told me he would make a written request for all items to be returned to the executor, me, in order that they can be distributed in accordance to her wishes, and asked me to make a list. This was over a month ago. Today, I get a reply from some attorney stating effectively that I had given them permission, and so all items questioned were gifts. Are you effing kidding me? This reply came through my lawyer, wherein he said, "Now we play hardball." He said he'll seek an order, though I'm not sure if that requires a trial. I meet with him next week. I would be passive in the shadow of all this crap if it meant protecting my boys from a family upset, but a line has been crossed. I want my sons to have a good relationship with their mother's family. That's paramount, and I would do whatever it took to ensure that. Now, we're about to get into a legal dispute and things are likely to go badly. My last communication was with my mother-in-law, where she lost her mind on me. We had always been close, so this is all so strange to me. She was making demands that were unreasonable. The call ended abruptly when I explained that the boys were my children, that I would decide what is in their best interest, and suggested that she not test me. I'm done playing. I don't need this crap. I buried the love of my life. I'm dealing with the after effects of the accident. I am doing everything I can to bring my son back to good, and now I have to deal with this? Thing is, people manage grief differently. I get that. I respect that. These are not bad people. They are simply behaving badly. But I can't allow it. I haven't told the boys about any of this, yet. I hope I won't have to. More than once, one of them asked me where this or that is, and I told them that their aunts borrowed them. Who does this? Seriously. Anyway, I have nobody to yell at, and I really don't want to kick the dog. I love the dog. So I'm just venting again here. Thanks for giving me a place to do that. Well, OP, I agree with you. What your in-laws are doing is absolutely wrong, and they shouldn't be doing that at all. They took everything from your wife, like every single memory that is yours and your children's, they just took it away. So good for you for getting legal help. Now, having said that, I do agree with you as well that people manage grief differently. I think you hit the right key with that one. Like you say, they're not bad people, they're just doing bad things. Maybe it's a momentary lapse of insanity or something like that. It doesn't excuse what they did, it just gives it an explanation. Hopefully this whole matter can be solved without nuking the family or burning the bridges or anything like that, so that your kids can keep a relationship with them. So on this whole thing, what do you guys think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes, or what would you suggest OP should do? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Your Grace Lady Snob says, "You are 100% justified, and I hope you get their asses in court." That's some BS. I'd be doing exactly what you are doing. This makes me so mad. We had the same issue when my brother died. People stealing crap saying they wanted to be in his room one last time. We did, however, take all the valuables out before people came, but those sentimental things, those are worth more than money. Get those mother effers. And OP responds, "Yeah, no. I'm actually glad to read your anger because it makes me feel more justified in my own. This really is wrong. It's not just me." Fully Leaded Sarcasm says, "How dare they? She didn't belong to them. You're entitled to her memory too." Of all the heartless, insensitive things to do. I've heard of people hiding all of the deceased's things and rug sweeping their grief, but to have that done to you, against your will? That is absolutely belittling to the value she played in your family. My blood is molten on your behalf. I wish you luck. Dopey responds, "Thank you. She was my family. She belonged to me and to our sons. We were her family by choice, and our boys are entitled to everything she wanted them to have. These people are about to figure that out. They're messing with the wrong guy." Lady Siren says, "I am so sorry your in-laws have decided to become absolute asshats. I would be furious and going full scorched earth. My condolences to you, and I hope your attorney kicks their collective asses." And OP responds, "I actually opened a note from my attorney since posting this. I was hesitant about any action at first. He just said, 'This isn't about you. This is about the rights of your children. Period.' That's my trigger, so scorched earth we go." Well, the community is absolutely backing OP up, and that's great because now OP feels validated. We also learned from that last comment that OP is ready to go scorched earth with his in-laws. So now let's move on with the update and see how that all went down. After my wife died suddenly, I vented here about how her family came through and took her belongings. The reaction from this sub was more than I expected and was appreciated. A lot of folks here were pissed on my behalf. Many asked that I update, and so I am. I had a long and reasonably deep discussion with Suzanne's mother and sisters earlier today. They speak to the boys, my sons Zach and PJ, on occasion and actively seek the connection. I haven't spoken to them in a while and haven't proceeded with any additional action since the initial request through my attorney that they return her property, now my children's property. It was my wife's older sister's birthday a couple of days ago, and for all that's happened, I still made sure to send her lilies. Suzanne sent her lilies every year. I guess I was looking to remain human through all this mess and maybe rubbing their nose a little at the same time. Either way, this was the catalyst for her call today. We spoke for a minute or two before she asked if I would speak to them all, together, on Zoom. They were actually standing by as we spoke. So I closed the door of my study and joined them online. As they popped up on my screen, I didn't say anything. I didn't show any emotion at all. This was their invitation, so I would just listen. I had no idea what to expect. Her mother started the conversation by hitting the tough subject head on, saying, "We have the request from your lawyer and we withdraw our answer. We want to comply with everything." Then her older sister added, "And we want to know how we can fix what we broke." For the hell, I've been living over this. The relief of their words was enough. I told them nothing needs to be fixed. They asked me if I would listen, and of course I said I would. And for a while I did. I didn't say a word. They were orderly, if not rehearsed, in their monologue, taking turns and affirming each other. Her mother explained that they were shattered after losing Suzanne, and that they seemed to come together as a pack. "We've had some time since those first days, and we've talked it through, and all of us realized that we weren't thinking," her younger sister said. Part of their grief was anger, they explained. They weren't angry with me, just angry in general. When they were at the house and picking a couple of items to keep, they just kept taking things. Her older sister explained that they were upset that as Suzanne's husband, I controlled everything, and everything defaulted legally to me. She said it shouldn't have upset them, acknowledging that's just how it is, but that they felt secondary. This was the only time I spoke, saying, "I never made you feel secondary." "We just wanted her back," one of them said. "Without that, we wanted everything we could have of her." They knew they were wrong, but being wrong only made it worse. They explained it like digging a hole and not being able to get out of it. "So we doubled down," one of them said. Her mother became emotional when she said, "I read the inscription on the box and realized that it wasn't Suzanne's, but that she had it made for you." She then said she didn't mean to take it. The inscription she speaks of is carved on the inside lid of a small decorative box that Suzanne gave me years ago. It reads, "Still and after all." She always said that to me, especially after I would drive her crazy. Whenever I got Suzanne mad, I'd asked if she loved me. She always said, "Still and after all." Anyone would know that the box means a great deal to me. The upshot is that my brother-in-law will be returning everything next weekend. Her mother emphasized everything. He'll be driving it down, and my sister-in-law asked if it might be possible for him to stay over, given that it's a long ride. I told her that Anthony should always consider this his home, and they should too. When they finished, it was my turn. I didn't say much. I didn't want to say a lot. I only told them how much their decision meant to me and the boys. I explained that I understood everything they said. We were all out of our minds, I assured them. I'm relieved and yet cautious. I need some time to pass, but I'm hopeful that the relationship will heal going forward. Well, I'm counting this as a happy ending. It was a momentary lapse of insanity that they went through. Their grief got the best of them, and they acknowledged that they did something wrong, and they're trying to set it right. I'd say the best thing is that you didn't have to go scorched earth, OP, so now it'll be easier for your kids to keep a relationship with that part of the family. Good for you. So here's wishing the best for you and your boys and your family. Take care, OP. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user Troll the Mormons. The mother-in-law bribe backfired. This is not my story. This was told to me by a woman I knew from work several years ago. She's a very sweet nurse. She graduated from nursing school and decided with her friend to move to one of the cities that was listed as having the most eligible bachelors from some publication. She moves and starts dating her future husband. Future husband's mother is a viper and decides nurse is not good enough for her family. The happy couple eventually gets engaged and the future mother-in-law is having none of it. Tries for several months to break them up. Tries to convince nurse to go back where she came from and simultaneously tries to gently convince her precious son that nurse may not be good for him. To add some more context to this situation, this mother-in-law is pretty nasty to nurse, but hides it well to other people, always making sure she's super fake, sweet to everyone when others are around. Finally, wedding plans are set, so mother-in-law gets desperate. She gets nurse alone with a generous offer. Leave fiancé and never come back in exchange for $10,000. Note, this was almost 30 years ago, so I guess it was kind of a crapload of money for most. Nurse is so sick of this woman's crap and is incredibly insulted. However, she is intelligent and maintains her composure. Nurse accepts the offer. Nurse takes the money, does not leave, and gets married anyway. Nobody else knows about this. Mother-in-law cannot say or do anything about it without exposing herself to her family as a horrible person. Nurse and husband are still happily married. Their kids are grown. Husband still has no idea this went down. Mother-in-law has suffered silently for almost 30 years. OP's edit. 2 people pointed out, thank you, that 10K 30 years ago would roughly translate to $21,000 today. Confirmed crapload of money. To me, a lowly peasant. Oh, that was beautiful. Not only did her son marry somebody she didn't like, but who cares about her opinion, but she was down $10,000. Fantastic, OP. Thanks for sharing your friend's story. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user I'm just here to get banned. College bookstore power tripping clerk. A few years ago, I was heading to class to take a final in my music history class and forgot a Scantron. I stopped by the college bookstore, grabbed a Scantron, and run up to the counter. This is when I met her. Her was a mid-50s woman with wrinkles on her face that can only come with holding a constant scowl on your face for decades. When I pulled out my card, she pointed to a sign that said $10 minimum. Yes, $10. The Scantron was about 20 cents. I can totally get a $5 minimum, but 10? Come on. Well, I didn't have any change in my pocket, but there was a take a penny leave a penny jar, so I reached over and grabbed a couple of dimes someone was kind enough to leave. Her put her hand over the jar and said, "You can leave change, but you can't take it." At this point, I figured I could either get really upset or play the game she wanted. I told her I understood and that there were a few more items I still needed. I proceeded to go to the furthest corners of the store and pick up about $200 worth of small items from the highest, lowest, and most inconvenient spots in the store. I walked up to the counter with my basket. The entire time, her had a wicked smile on her face like she'd won. Well, as soon as I signed for the items, I told her I'd like to return everything but the Scantron, please. She was livid. People don't usually yell at me, but she completely lost it. She ended up calling campus police and the other workers. When the campus police arrived, they informed her that what I did was completely legal. Her couldn't handle it but had to refund me for everything but the Scantron. The campus police told me with a smirk to please not do that again. I said yes sir and headed to my final. I was about 20 minutes late for the final but ended up making an A. That was awesome, OP. Wow, just refund me for everything except for this 20-cent thing and then put it all back to where it was. Haha, good job, OP. Thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.